wrapping up turn. Annoying date time error came up, and I had to start it on a good little rant before it cut me off and said, nope, nothing here. So anyway, I start the new turn 6. I draw a USA money card. I know I have some spies I want to fire off, and that's fine. But I start to look and figure out what the hell do I want to do. And I'm immediately attracted to, hey, I'd like to do some influence type actions, right? Try to convert the government here. Try to invest more heavily in Ukraine, Belarus. But here's the thing: those don't matter right now. In a sense, nothing. You kind of have to look at the pattern and flow of an individual turn in a different way than I've been looking at it. I've been looking at it kind of opportunistically. Hey, I want to get these points. I want to do this thing. I'm not going to be able to win the game right away. That's obvious. I'm a full counter behind. But it's plausible that I could actually win the game by the end of the turn, with one side or the other, if I'm doing certain things, right? But here's the thing. Getting control of these doesn't necessarily put me in a better state later on. I might be better off just laying down lots of interests everywhere, or investments. Getting Pax Britannica things in mind here. But putting those investments down and building up so that I can do a sweep of the bigger actions or whatever later in the turn. I haven't really learned that. In fact, I'm only just realizing it kind of now that maybe it's not wise to do the things that feel like I should do, which is converting a government type or whatever. Now, there's certain advantages to having a government type on your own classification, I guess. I'm not sure what they are. But I think I may actually be better off doing that investment action at this early stage in the game, get some of those counters down, rather than trying to convert things to blue. How much does it help me to turn them blue? I don't know. There's definitely enough Soviet money in here that can compete with it. So anyway, let's take a look at where I've got tech thefts that I want to clear. I want to clear the Japanese one. We'll definitely do that. I think I'm going to probably drop 3 investments, but I'm not sure. No go. Why am I that worried about tech theft? Well, there's still a lot of spaces left on the board for tech. Where else? And if I don't want to do a tech theft roll, I may want to do a... I'll get rid of that one. I may want to shoot a spy, but I've got all my spies out, so I'm a little less worried about counter-spying activities. And we get nothing there either. Well. But now to the money card. And again, what I would think about doing is doing a couple of influences up here or whatever. But that kind of doesn't make sense because there's so much deck left. It's kind of tipping my hand and getting rid of things early, maybe? Although, clearly the interests can be blotted out more easily. Is the interest... So, an interest can be knocked out by an interest. But an influence, maybe not. Yeah, let's do the 2 influences. It's just how I feel. So I'll do one over here, and I'm at +1. This is only 1 die. We get a 5. That's not good enough. I could do another one there and try to convert it again. Why not? I think it's the best place. Or I could try to invest in Turkey. But Turkey's got that unrest in it. Okay, so we failed with 2 money rolls. Operation Condor. The Soviet player may remove up to 2 U.S. investment in any countries in Central or South America, but not the U.S. or Canada. Well, there are only 2. That's another blue card. So I get more spy actions. I'll use the French spy. You know what? I'm going to use this Italian spy to try to promote unrest and cause a coup. That's just one die, though. There's unrest in a 0 or 1 country. That would get it up to a 5, but that's as far as we get it. And then I'll use my other one. I'll use my French spy to try to knock out the tech secret in the British Isles. Neither of those work. First Civil War. Soviet can add a Civil War marker to any Civil War. Do I have any? I don't know if there's any going on right now. They seem to be getting themselves resolved pretty quickly. The world is a lot less volatile than it starts out the game as. Franco. Nothing happens and it's removed, but that's another blue card. I still have a spy in Germany that I want to use to try to knock out that tech secret. And we get it this time. Do I have another spy left? I got one in the US. He can go for the Japanese secret. Okay. Authoritarian unrest. Nothing. Research. 4 cubes each. We got that big boost, the 3 cube boost for, I don't remember what it is, the mainframes or something. All right, I'll come back after I place these. Let's go over it. The Russians, I don't know, they threw a couple into here. I don't think they boosted anything. They may have boosted this. Just because ketchup isn't as good if I'm working off these. Remember, I get 2 cubes. It doesn't work as well on industry or farming. But the US also caught up there. After a couple of failures, they finally got the lunar probe. Now that says place influence, and what I've been thinking was I just throw an influence cube on. But this is called place influence too. So we have to look that up, and I think it actually gives me an influence roll. Actually, I don't know. Another not clear thing, and obviously that's not going to be in the first turn playthrough. You know, and I could see arguments in either way. Would I be able to influence any country of my choice guaranteed by a space probe? That seems a little unlikely. On the other hand, you know, this seems a little weak, but we'll do this. We'll try to put an influence in Estonia. That's +1. Hey, we get it. So we have converted the government over there, and that gets us a progress. And I know we haven't gone very far, but I just, you know, it's late at night. Well, it's getting late. I just wanted to fiddle around a little bit before I start getting ready to curl up for the night. First card up is an India-Pakistan card. This is turn 6, right? Yeah. So there's a possibility this might get removed. And indeed it is this time. That'll on top. Okay. Just trying to keep it together for, whenever I come around to playing again. Red Army card. Still have a worker shortage avoidance problem issue, so I don't need that, but nothing comes from this one. It's a red card. I got spies, I bet you, available. I see some shining out saying, pick me, pick me. Yeah, we got some tech thefts we could go for. Taiwan will roll against the Japanese. Do I want to do that, or do I want to use... Let's, the Chinese one can't do that. Okay. That's not a success. And speaking of Taiwan, why don't we try to throw a coup in Taiwan by putting an unrest in there? Could have done that with the first one at better odds, but the guy in China can do this too. And he fails. And that's the two I'm allowed. Spy agencies. One Soviet spy action with any spy, even if already used, and do not mark it as used. Let's do the Taiwan coup attempt, which is an unrest. That requires a 6. It's +1 if there's already unrest. I forgot about that. Okay, we got that this time. So that is going to throw us into a coup. There is an influence present, so we do normal procedure. And we get a shitty, falls into an armed conflict. I mean, none of them are bad. They all fuck up the enemy. If the country is occupied or has a worth of 2 or more, no effect. Otherwise, put a civil war and cover the rightmost revealed factory with a destruction symbol. Civil war clears out the unrest, of course. And the U.S. will be the government when the Civil War happens. For the U.S., we get a free spy. We have no spies. However, we can move one. Now, this is useful because I could just recycle a spy by doing this. And we're going to do that. We're going to recycle this spy by placing him here. Maybe I'm cheating by doing that. I don't know if there's anything specific in the rules about that, but yeah. Rusky money. Oh, what do the Russians want to do with their money? I don't know. I usually like to throw cheap investments into place. There's a civil war, though. I could throw an army into there, no? No. It has to be the right person's influence in there to do that. But it can sit around after it's been in there, right? Allowed isn't defined here. Pretty sure I remember what it is, maybe, kind of. Yeah, we're going to play with 3 investments. This is a problem. This goes away. Do we want a second investment up there in Estonia? Or do we want to try to do something else, something more impressive? A second one in Estonia. I don't think that's a good idea to let that rot there. Popular unrest. 3. Both sides may remove one unrest in an authoritarian country, then the U.S. may remove one in a democracy. Okay, Soviets are first. Gotta find an authoritarian country that I would want to remove unrest from. Definitely not this one. There we go. And the U.S. gets an authoritarian country. that one. You know, honestly, I think, I don't know which. See, these two influences, I don't want to lose that. But then again, I don't want to lose Yugoslavia, which is in Europe, so I don't know. Let's look at the U.S. Do we want to remove unrest from anywhere? We are not happy with authoritarian countries being in unrest. It causes us more problems than it does. The Soviets have a better chance of taking advantage of it. Then I can remove from a democratic country. We'll get it out of Germany, I guess. Oh, I could have removed it out of Turkey. Hold on. Let's swap this back down to Egypt. Turkey, we're definitely the person in trouble. I have trouble because of the discs. Okay. I need to get a new pipe. For the Yom Kippur War, Egypt and Israel same color cube. Egypt has no cube. Israel has one, so no bonus there. If the victory marker is in Egypt, is in Israel, there's a crushing victory in Israel, so that's going to be a -3. And I guess I roll just one die, yeah. There's peace. That's a red card, though, which means that I have spy actions if I have a spy available. The only one I have is in the Soviet Union. Gotta relight. Forgotten. I know there was a card or something that told me what these meant. I've forgotten what that is. It's like the turn of some... no, that's the total number of oil available, I'm guessing. Okay. U.S. money. I got spies again. Let's go for the tech theft, or tech hide. Yeah, that's not going to work. Gotta have more spies kicking around. Oh, here's another Russian one. Didn't see him. Hard to picture when there's a cluttered board where there's a lot of things and there's things that you can't usually use. I do have trouble picturing that kind of stuff. Not much you can do. You need to present a lot of information in a game like this. U.S. money. Well, you know, investments just seem like such a deal, right? Which is the deal that I want to take. I think the deal I most want to take is I want to get rid of these suckers because they piss me off. And I'll drop the extra investment into Belarus. One of the things with the 3 investment is it telegraphs stuff, right? So, you know, I put 2 investments here. I could have put 1 investment there and rolled an influence die roll and maybe cleared the space. But early in the deck, it's definitely worth getting those investments down, I think. Lack of consumer goods. African unrest. Arms limitation talks. Soviet leadership is reform or progressive, so that's a +1. And we ignore because there's an embargo, in fact. Never mind. I think this applies in both cases. U.S. debt money. Okay, U.S. got more money. Get nothing over there. We could do an influence here to try to start shifting Belarus over. And an influence in Turkey. How about those? I like that idea. Okay, influence in Ukraine, Belarus. +1 for an investment. And nothing fully aligned. Nope. That doesn't get rid of my investment. Let's go for Turkey. I'm kind of more impressed by trying to do Turkey. Nope. Okay. Actually, changing stuff is harder than just throwing your investments around. More U.S. debt money. Throw more investments around. I don't know how much money each person has. I'm going to throw another set of investments around. I wasn't happy with what happened. Put one in Cuba. One making Egypt. See, if I put an investment in Egypt, it becomes my problem now. Automatically. It automatically hands it over to the enemy. Put an investment there. And another investment in Turkey. I still have spies. Spy somewhere, don't I? I swear I did. I guess I just have the Russian spies left. Authoritarian unrest. Okay, this is weird because this is turn 6. The only way it can be removed, right? But it's on both levels. Both sides must place one unrest in an authoritarian country, with coups being a little weaker. Soviet unrest first. Let's look at the 4+. This is one that can get me a government switch. But it wouldn't if there's no influence present. So yeah, I don't particularly want to look at the Egypt and stuff like that all that much. Looky, looky, looky. Where do I want this? I'll drop it into Libya. And for the US, we're going to coup Yugoslavia. A 2 country slides into armed conflict. If it was occupied or has a worth of 2 or more, it does not. Otherwise, civil war. We're out of factory destructions. I can pull ones out from previously, you know, from the nations that were there before. Russians are unable to respond by throwing an occupied marker because they've got into the reformer or whatever. And it is turn 6, so this sucker goes away. I'm going to put that on the top so that I can find him. First Civil War. Second Civil War. Hold on, let me make sure. My long-term habit of turning one Civil War over, even though there's this, I don't trust myself with tracks as well as I do with stuff that's right in front of me that has to be correct. So civil wars will be addressed here. I'll report on both. It's one in Yugoslavia. The rebels increased the war in Taiwan. That gives the Soviets a progress. Here's something I'm not sure of, and I think I discussed this before. Whether or not the Soviets can send an army into a civil war. They're not allowed to occupy a nation. Occupied is different from an army, but occupied is a result which comes from winning a civil war. My view is that they can send the army in as a progressive nation, and they will not remain in occupation. I think either way you take it is fine. You know, it's an expense to do that, but it makes them actually more liberal in some ways than the U.S. The Soviet green card. This is a turn with no modifier. We get a 3. Poor harvest. The Soviet player either adds 2 unrest in the USSR or Ukraine, or buys grain from the West for 1. Grain cannot be purchased if there are 3 embargo markers. There's only 2. So I'm not in the horrible state where, oh, what was that from? Was that Afghanistan? Where we put the grain embargo during Carter's era? This is sort of a half on one hand, half on the other, because with one action I can clear an unrest. So that's 1 money card. If I have to pay... Oh, I only have to pay 1 for that grain. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely want to pay the 1. We have a spy that could knock out one of them, maybe, kinda. So yeah, we'll do that. And this automatically cycles. Red spies. Red spies at night. We got one over here that I'm aware of. What is he up to? I'll leave him alone for now. Central and South American unrest. It is not turn 7 or more. Oil production money. Gonna break because I gotta light my pipe while I think about this. Keep chasing the US everywhere. We're gonna remove 3 unrests that we don't like in Europe. And this is an oil card. Oh, can't do anything too special with it. There's a trade embargo. Shit, my pipe's not working. All right. Something I don't know about. Project Azorian. And this is a period where I should have a little bit more knowledge. Raising a stricken Soviet Gulf II class submarine. I vaguely remember something about this, but... Soviet sunken submarine triggers U.S. recovery. Place this card in the Pacific Ocean. Okay. U.S. player may exhaust 1 to 3 spies in U.S. and or Japan to roll that many dice. This can only be attempted once. Any 6 is a success. Soviet codes are breached, and move either intel assessment mark or 1 box. Huh. Well, I don't have any spies there right now. I guess this stays there forever until it's either tried or... I don't know. It says remove on it, but like some of these other cards, I think it just has a persistent effect and is sitting there. I don't have any spies available right now, but I may build some up. Drawing. Military export. More money for the Ruskies. All right. Now we're going to start trying to undermine the things the U.S. is doing that we don't like. More Soviet money. Okay, now it's fun time. I can attempt an influence over here. What else? Is there something I want to do other than that? I could clear that investment in Saudi Arabia. That's not terribly useful. I can't do like an influence and attack. I wish techs were. I could place a spy. I could invest somewhere more expensive. There aren't a lot of places more expensive I want to do. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, oh shit. I have the feeling I dropped an investment in here without rolling to try to improve anything, but there may have been multiple. I don't know for sure. Gobbledygook. Okay. Well, we'll do a couple influence rolls. We'll do one in Estonia. That's the important one. +1 per investment, and it's not my own color anymore. It's not adjacent to anything I like, so this is just a 5 or a 6 roll. It doesn't happen. I'll do it again there. It doesn't happen. I got spies. Shit, I owed money. I'm letting that sit. I have more money coming. I just fucked up and yeah. You know, if I'd gotten successes, I would have reversed them. So, yeah, let's get rid of that. Okay, U.S. money. U.S. gets to react. U.S. will do investments. Clear this out. Drop one in Ukraine. And where else? Where else do we want to drop an investment? Clean Libya. I'm not that impressed with Libya, but whatever. No U.S. spies. Okay. Navy arms race. If the U.S. has a naval advantage of... No, we don't. And we got to remember to keep the naval advantage so we get this bonus. Of course, that says place an investment. Yeah, that's fine. It's not place and influence. Other things give place and influence. Rolls for Tech Cube, and I have problems with my battery, so I'm going to have to stop for a while, probably. Okay, we get a naval cube and any one other... No, and any tech. Doesn't have to be naval. We drop a naval cube. You know. Let's drop one in there. And no spies. I am, as I said, going to pause here because although I have a backup battery that's completely full, this is not a bad time for me to stop. I got to get to work soon. Money, and I have a couple of things that I can do with influence that I think I want to do. It looks like I'm in the lead everywhere. I got to remember about these damn die rolls. It's so hard for me to recall. So I have trouble remembering things that can be done kind of interactively like that in general in games. But this game has so much information out there that's perhaps a particularly difficult thing. I certainly find it maybe no worse than a CDG with the cards sitting there. So the U.S. is going to... I guess we'll do an investment in Turkey, or an influence in Turkey. That's a +2. That's a success. And I'm going to convert Turkey. Wait, I'm not going to convert Turkey. I'm going to place an influence in Turkey. I could do this again to get me further along. Is that what I want to do? And only be a +1 for that. But yeah, let's convert Turkey over. And we succeed there. You can get one of these. And we haven't... There's nothing we've gained out of this other than the progress. Spies... No. Now it's Soviet money. And again, did the Soviets want to counter this with a die roll re-roll? It's so hard to tell, you know? It really is. It looks to me like I've lost the fight for Turkey as far as I'm concerned. So let's keep fighting for the things that we want to do. We're going to invest one. And to me, the important one, boop, boop, those Russian spies. Can't think of too much. I mean, I could trigger a coup there, but do I really want to? I mean, what better am I going to get to do with Saudi Arabia? Well, we'll hold. Bangladesh Liberation War. Fighting in chaos. Resolve a coup in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is over here. There's an influence that's important. This is a normal coup. 5, successful coup. Remove an opposing influence, if not place a friendly influence. That takes a point away from the Americans. If the highest no, replace the current government with the coup's winner unless it's an occupied country. It is not. So Bangladesh goes communist and set the country to one unrest. That wasn't too bad. And this one goes away. Gotta get that card where it belongs. It's hard to remember things. Watergate! No Watergate. Tricky gets away with it. Turkey invades Cyprus. Nothing happens. U.S. got any spies now. So this is kind of what I like about the game, is that sort of, you try to set things up and then you see and lots of stuff just sort of happens and you don't have a lot of control over the just sort of happens, right? It's sort of like this incremental just set of huge quantities of random events in the game. That's a model that I don't know if I've actually seen before. If you think about your CDG and your coin type games, yeah, they provide you with a lot of potential events, but the players have control over whether those events happen. If you think about games like EU or something, there's a handful of events, but the players have control over a lot more of the time and action that's happening in the game. This game is like, you know, largely just this sequence of events with these capabilities to do some things that by interleaving the events and the capabilities together, the chaos of the events is more the driving focus of the game. And again, I don't think I've seen a game that's quite so event-driven as this. Khrushchev Thaw. How is this still around? Well, because it can only be removed on turn 4 if you roll the right dice, and then otherwise it stays in the game for the rest of the game, which is probably a mistake. If a reformer or progressive, neither side may use aggression this turn. Soviets may place 2 investments in any non-democratic countries for free. This has to stay out, but it's also cycled. I don't know how to cope with this. I'm going to put it out here and hope I remember what I'm doing. 2 investments for free in non-democratic countries. Well, so these are free investments, which means I can put them in places that are worth more. Unfortunately, worth more is not the case in places where there's not democracy. I don't see any 2-point or better non-democratic areas. Well, China. So this would be a -4. Okay. I think putting an investment... Yeah, I can't do an influence with that investment. Oh, China's only a 1 anyway. Screw that. Yeah, I think I want to put somebody in Belarus. That's non-democratic. And where else? Just torn everywhere. I don't like that unrest being there because I think the coup will aim at me. Does it say who the target is? It does not. I'm going to have to look that up under 3.3. So I don't remember the order. I think remove, if any, government counter. Okay. A neutral country experience may slide towards one. So, yeah. So influence is the only thing that actually matters for coups, I think. So I don't really want to get rid of that unrest. I could put an interest over in Russia, but it doesn't help me because I'd be wanting to do that to get rid of unrests, and those unrests aren't going to help. Put it in Cuba. Cuba's a non-democratic nation. That's this. Southeast Asia. U.S. must place one unrest in the Philippines, Indonesia, or Vietnam. Well, Vietnam looks like a good choice. Cycles. More Soviet money. Think time. Lighting time. Oh, I could have done this on my own. We're going to do an influence over there in Estonia. And whatever. I got +2 to my influence roll. It's my own color, no. That's a 5. That doesn't work. We'll do it again. That's a 3. That doesn't work. We wasted our money. Deck's still big enough. I don't feel like I have to trigger spies. Sweden, Finland, neutrality. We had this before, didn't we? Yeah. 4. If Sweden and Finland has 2 influence, remove 1. It does not. This is turn 6 or more, so it goes away. I don't know how you make it. If that's the case, right, it's either cycle. This is sort of the opposite case of those other ones. So if we look at this, unless turn 4, then remove, nothing down here. But here, all of these are handled, and then we say if turn 6 or more removed. How does it get to turn 7? I don't know. Maybe there's something that hides a card and makes it not apply or whatever. It just seems like these are kind of done in the opposite way, right? This one, I would understand if it said turn 4 or more, because it means, yeah, eventually that stops having any effect whatsoever. Here it's just, in the off chance that you roll a 1 to 3 on turn 4, it's removed. Here, though, I don't see a way that it can get past turn 6. And that's what I thought. Hey, we shuffled the right cards in. Okay, we're going to pause for a bit. Get that card in play where it belongs to. Okay, we're not on turns 4 and 5 anymore, so we get $1 of something. Given the failures with tech research, space and or satellite research. How? See, again, it's the terming. You know, is it technological research as in here? And I know I've had this question before, but it's so hard when terms aren't clearly defined. And I know, see, this is technological development, not research. Research may or may not be just what's referred to in the money card, in which case I'd get 1. But if it is research, then I would be triggering the advantage of, hey, I have computers. So I get an extra cube on the tech track. I don't know. I honestly don't know. this has to be done on space and or satellite research. We got lots of satellite because we didn't have the problem. Let's roll a die and see if we fail. We do not, because we're playing by the rules now. So +1 influence and +1 progress. This is progress. What is... Oh, it's place 1 influence. Now, place 1 influence is definitely this. So we, I guess, pick a country. And I don't know where to pick. It's been really a day where I didn't want to play much, not because of the game or anything, because of cold weather, rainy, and I got caught up in some Napoleonic marshals videos by someone. Yeah, this is research, not investment, so we can't do something there. Turkey's cleared. This is place and influence. Where do we have investments that we'd like to screw around with? And we can look and it's remove. So placing influence can remove a friendly an opposing influence. No. Okay. That doesn't help. I think the only place we have an investment, I'm just looking around, we don't have a lot of investments kicking around, is down here in Saudi Arabia. And I'm told that's a bad idea. It would make sense to let the Soviets have Saudi Arabia. I'm guessing eventually I will need that much oil when we hit the oil crisis or whatever. So I'm at +1 now, right now, I guess. And that's not going to work. So I get nothing out of that. U.S. spies, I don't see any. And we flip another one. U.S.-China relations. Add 1 U.S. influence in China to a maximum of 2. A U.S. influence, we'll get rid of this. We weren't getting the point for it, if I was doing things correctly, because the Russians are already, they have to have 2 levels to count the point for China, because it's weird, it's authoritarian right now. Again, no spies there. U.S. money, what the hell? Looks like it's investment time. What investments? We want to get rid of these 2. They're definitely ones we don't want to see flip over, and we'll get rid of this as well, just because it's easy. Still no spies. U.S. oil thirst. U.S. must be able to count oil as shown on the turn track. To be counted, the oil must not be controlled by the Soviets, aligned or fully. For each oil that cannot be counted, either remove 1 from the U.S. debt track or add 2 unrest in the U.S. Then if oil price is 2 or 3, add an unrest to the U.S. no matter what. Okay. Our oil number is 3 now. And we got 1. I don't think that's a number in there. It's hard to tell, but they all seem to have that. So that's 1 oil that we have. There's another one. There's another one. We're okay for now. How much oil do we actually have? Well, turn 6 is fine. Turn 7, we'll be getting this one online. So we have 1, 2. I don't see any North Sea oil. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where it starts to run down. That Near Eastern chokehold is going to be problematic for us. We can go into debt for it. But, yeah. Speaking of which, U.S. debt money. Whew. Let's keep causing problems for the Russians. We have 1 there. Play 1 there. Yeah. See, we got this investment here. We could trigger that off and do something else. Yep. Okay. Let's play 1 here because I think that's really, really dicky. The Saudi oil. we'll work towards, I guess. And I have a third one. Venezuela's safe right now. So there's another one that I wasn't counting. Yeah, it's the Saudi oil that we're really, really interested in, isn't it? Let's take a look at this. It's only by alignment, so we could slip into Iran and maybe get some good in there. That gets rid of the debt card. It might be able to make it through the turn today. Oil production. Now, this statement here has to do, I think, with building the deck, but I'm not sure. Let's make sure. So, I haven't done this yet because the oil price has never been above, but I may have been misreading it, and it wouldn't have affected anything. But I'm just thinking, maybe it's when oil production comes up that you check the oil price and see if new cards come in. Maybe. Because it's on the card as opposed to wherever else it would be. Wherever else it would be. Okay. We look for that index. We know that doesn't exist. I doubt oil money is listed here, but it might be. Money is there. Nice thing about an index is you can look up what you're looking for. Okay, oil money is not listed here. I know there's a rule for this. I know there's a card picture for it. I just know it. And now I'm past this. Here, Soviet player may add oil sale cards. Now, there are no oil sale cards, right? There's oil production. Are these oil sale? There's oil money cards. And the question is when this comes in. If oil value is more than 1, is that when the oil money comes in, or is it at some other point? Are oil production cards oil sale cards? And is there... I swear I've seen this picture and I've seen it there, and Soviet oil is only granted by depending on the position on the Soviet oil deck. If it has no connection to the oil on the map, it can be sold. Okay, it can be sold at 1, 2, or 3 money. What? When an oil production card comes out of the deck, the Soviet player checks the oil price. So it would happen immediately at the time. The price has not gone up, so I do not get extra money dealt into the back end of the deck, which could actually be particularly interesting. I think it actually makes it more potent than normal money. So yes, I had been considering it wrong. But I have one of these, and we have got to do investment stuff. This goes away. One here, and let's start chewing back the Saudi values. Now this card goes out of the deck with nothing new added. Russian spies may exist. There's a Saudi spy. Can I get rid of an investment with that? It would make sense, but I don't know. I don't think so. Sometimes you have to be careful because, something's called like suppress unrest. Well, like place influence, it might allow you to get rid of things you don't think you can get rid of. And deck's getting small, getting worried. What do we want to do with a small deck? My spy in Russia's not doing me any good. That's kind of weird. I'll hold off on that. Freedom and civil rights, or the other way around, actually. It's turn 5. So 7. Soviet may place one unrest in any 2 democracies. U.S. places nothing. Okay, it's got to be 2 different democracies. Well, let's work on Bangladesh. No, we don't want to work on Bangladesh, damn it. First of all, it's not a democracy, even though it looks blue as hell to me. U.S. is a democracy. I could place one there, and they're beginning to collect up. And let's work on West Germany because they're worth a lot of points. Start screwing around with them, although there's a spy there, so I don't know how much that matters. Blue, no. U.S. money. I don't have enough of an edge yet to trigger anything. So 1. 2. We'll throw one in Belarus and keep messing with that. Soviet money. No, you cannot. Deck's getting small. Let's try to coup. Let's try to coup Egypt. We'll try to place something, an unrest in Egypt. Hey, we succeed. So that creates a coup in Egypt. There's no influence. Remove any government counter unless it's an occupied country and set the government to 1 unrest. And then roll a die and see if influence shows up. Nope. Well, we got nothing out of it. Soviet diplomacy. Soviet can place 1 investment, 1 spy, 1 investment, 1 spy, and make an influence try, not just place one. In any authoritarian countries, each has to be different. I'll come back after I figure that out. Soviets are excited by the idea of an oil-based advantage. So, what did we do? Well, first of all, we made our influence check up here. That seemed like the best thing to do. If I can get that under Soviet control, that changes, if I can make Finland communist, that changes things a little bit. That didn't work. My spy, I know, the investment went in Venezuela. Next turn, Venezuela starts producing oil, so that's worth something. I put my spy in here to start causing more unrest in Africa because of that. And we got spy to fire off. We'll try to do unrest in Libya because that's where we placed ourselves. And that doesn't work. Hey, I did the Saudi spy and I forgot to flip them. How about that? Okay. Lack of consumer goods. Add nothing yet. We just keep cycling. Out of spies. Gaddafi. Ah! Oops. We would remove the Gaddafi marker if it was in Libya, and we get rid of it, the card. Well, that didn't do much. Down towards the bottom, U.S. money. Oh, U.S. money. I'm going to do the investments again, and I'm going to do the same stuff. 1. We're going to set up for more of a fight for Saudi Arabia. And we'll go here into Belarus. We have no spies. We have no things. More! Oh, now we're getting double time. Okay, we want to do an influence in Saudi Arabia. And... Oh boy. And something somewhere else. We could get rid of that German unrest. Yeah, let's get rid of the German unrest, because that takes a big interest, an expensive interest. And we're going to try to we're going to try to do an influence play in Saudi Arabia, which will be at +2 for our investments. And that doesn't work. Last card, Soviet money. Okay. Soviets want to do the investments. Niet. Oh, I don't know. Niet. And da. All right, we got some cards we got to look to see if they disappear here. Alliance for Progress looks like it lasts forever. De Gaulle. Remove 1 influence and all on placement of influence in France occurs on a 6 only while in play. Leaves power on the next coup or at the end of turn 6. This is the end of turn 6, so we can get rid of the de Gaulle card. Cultural Revolution. Maybe something gets rid of that. Sino-Soviet split. Nothing gets rid of that. I'm just checking all these cards. That one I think nothing gets rid of. If a reformer or progressive, neither side can use aggressives. Okay, so this was in play. To remind me not to use aggressions that I don't remember, but it does get recycled in. And that puts us at the end of turn cycle. I'm going to do what I can while I light my pipe and come back and talk, because I like to babble. The cycle went through. One of the things that we found that wasn't good, we get an industry 5-year plan. We're at the top of industry. There is still 1 box we can claim. This code breaking you can't use for the 5-year plan, but the computerized weapon systems we can get some benefit out of. But that's our last shot, and this is 50% of the times it's industry. Reform. Well, we collected up 4 reform markers. That gets us to this, which created another victory point. I feel like we're behind given how much we reformed, but we're 2 ahead of the U.S., but it doesn't feel like that much. Of course, the U.S. may want to burn through their debt, get their debt down to try to cancel that out, because it is getting close. And that generated 4 unrest. I threw 1 in Russia. The rest of it went here into Hungary, Romania, because, hey, that causes a coup. And we like coups. There's influence present, so we roll 2 dice. And we get a 6. Remove opposing influence if not present, place a friendly, and this is the highest die roll. It swaps over. That means we lost a progress because we lost the territory. Replace the current government with the coup government. Okay. This has now become a U.S. territory, a democratic nation. Oh boy, are we causing problems. First of all, that's a progress, but now we're sitting in 2 of the, oh no, this isn't a hammer and sickle, so that, at least there's that, but yeah. The world is not the world we're used to. Set the country to 1 unrest. And there we go. And let's see where we are in the sequence. Well, it takes me a while to find that page, so I'll be back. Okay, we're about ready to shuffle the deck. Let me explain what happened. Tech-wise, the Soviets started putting into the computerized weapon system. The U.S. built stealth bombers. That created a tech theft over in France. Nobody wanted to do any re-rolls like on the presidency. 1 influence and an aggression, perhaps. Not really all that worried about an aggression by the U.S. It's more expensive for the U.S. to do aggressions than it was for the Soviets. The U.S. is not taking any debt cards because they're worried about the balance of victory. Russians get their 2 oil production cards and all the turn 7 cards, and I think we're ready to go as soon as I shuffle these. So I'll be loading this one up. And yeah, the world doesn't look how you expect it. One thing I'm finding, and you know, maybe this will help. Apply a +1 to remove a trade marker. I guess these are trade markers, not these. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because it says not destruction. I didn't think these were called trade markers. I thought they were called something else. Yeah, they're called trade markers. And so I guess are these. So, yeah. Okay. Bad naming convention. But this is what I assumed they were because it said not destruction. Right now, it's a little cheaper to get victory points, or a little cheaper to get victory points that way than it was before. But it just feels easier to get victory points by trying to convert countries. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's been my feeling and how I've been playing. And from my point of view, it looks like we're not developing, you know, Western Europe and Japan to the degree that we should be as the U.S. I don't know, you know, how big a thing that is. I don't know if that's... So here's the thing. It's hard for me to tell if that's my bias or misunderstanding of kind of how the mechanisms are going to interrelate, that actually is better than it looks, or if there's actually, you know, if my opinion on that is actually correct and that it's cheaper to just get a country converted to your government and to your alignment, which basically is 2 investment, right? Well, most of these things are like a -3 at maximum, or at minimum, right? At this point, we've gotten rid of the cheapos. Now, that's gone down a little bit, and as you can see, it's going to go down more, but I have to get a lot of investment markers in a country to even have a chance, right? I have to have a number of investment markers equal to that. And in general, that's a -3. Japan, I could get up there with a -2, just like I did with Germany. So yeah, I could work on that a little harder and try to get another couple another couple progress markers there. But there's other things that doesn't do. And you know what I'm not getting? I've got, and I don't know if I've been getting this ever. I'm looking for this. I've got a hammer and sickle. Sitting here, and somewhere it should be telling me to do something about that, and I'm not seeing it. The hammer and sickle and star. So that's the... Yeah, another rule that I think I've forgotten to apply. And again, you know, if it's not in the sequence, how are you going to remember? Maybe it is, and maybe I'm just unable to see it for some reason. Now I'm flipping and I can't find it here. Ah, boy. Okay. Geographical objectives. Where do they talk about them? I know they talk about them somewhere, not just here, right? I assume. That's not there. So we keep flipping and we look for that picture because maybe that'll help, because there's pictures all over the place, so we assume the pictures will help us find things. We're not usually a fan of pictures, but when you build a rule book with these kind of columns and everything and pictures all over it, that's all it does. And I have gone through and I'm not seeing it. There it is. No pictures. Excellent. Several countries are printed with either, if the indicated country and has a government of the other, Then the enemy player can claim a +1 intel assessment and potentially a reroll marker. Geez, I probably did that or maybe didn't. I don't know. Okay, well, nothing's changed. There's no hammer and sickle here. That was here. Let's keep looking. If the country marked with a hammer and sickle also add one reform to the Soviet every turn end. Now, is that anywhere? That's the piece. Yeah, that's listed here. And I didn't count that, and I don't know if I've been counting it because block. The way the block of text is all running together, and the short ends to the lines seems to deflect me from reading the back end of those things. But we're at the top of the reform chart. Nothing's going to matter there, you know. So, and there's really not a big deal. I thought maybe there would be unrests or something coming out of this, but no. It's the intel assessment for being close. And I'm already in there, so that's not going to make a damn bit of difference. So yeah, it's reshuffle time and time for turn 7 to start. Yeah. I know I just did the turn 7 end of turn sequence. So, you know, I think, and that's important because where's the Soviet leader thing? I think that I'm in I just finished turn 7, but end of turn sequence is the beginning of the turn. I gotta keep remembering that. Okay. Load up. Other things that I'm not really doing a lot of. Look at all these nuclear weapon systems, or delivery systems, that I'm not building. What's up with that? Well, again, you know, yeah, they play with this, but at this point with the reform Soviets, it's really, really hard to make the decision that, yeah, I want to invade things because it feels weird. Yes, but Putin. Yeah, but not Putin. He's occupying stuff. And just like the U.S. would. And then there's also the conventional balance isn't that far now. These are in opposite directions. There's just all kind of reasons. You know, yes, the Soviets could expend on that, but they've got things they're worried about. Now, I'm super worried about these hammer and sickles. I actually don't think they matter. In fact, when I take that away, geographical objective away, what happens? Well, I think essentially this. I'm not sure. Assuming that I remembered to put it there when I first got it, which I think I did. And that's been sitting there for a long time, so who knows. But yeah, I've been really focusing on those. I thought they were victory points, again, because there's these things, you know. They look like victory point counters. I feel like grabbing the Baltic states is a big deal. Maybe not. Maybe Russia does not care so much about the things they've lost. Where else? Oh, there was. Oh yeah, the deck. The deck is getting smaller again now. We're adding less cards. Cards from some of the older decks are beginning to get pulled out just because they get cycled. So the length of the amount of stuff that happens in a given turn changes over the game. I don't know if that's, you know, a big deal either way. It's just an observation. All right. And I guess up it goes for real this time.